Welcome back to our new video format where we have all three matches from the previous week all in one video so you can view them all at once. This will be Season 1, Week 2 full. Thanks for watching. Welcome back to another Charlotte Legacy League where we have Beanstalk Control vs 12 Post. A huge thank you to the Patreon supporters who are helping the league and YouTube channel. If you would like to become a supporter, please click on the link in the show notes. Both players kept 7, and I believe Matthew Story is on the play. Yes, he is going to follow off with his patented Island Ponder, the Mosh and Roll special that everyone seems to do when they're playing a deck that plays Island and Ponder. So this is a very interesting matchup for the two players, and the reason why is Cloud Post is meant to actually beat up on Beanstalk Control, because it can go over the top with gigantic monsters like Ulamog and Emrakul. It has Cavernous Souls to name Titan, so you can, or Giants, so you can play your Primeval Titans. Crop rotations to have fun, One Rings to draw more cards, Once Upon a Time's a dig kind of thing. Where the Beanstalk Control deck has to get the beans online and then start actually casting their spells, which can be not difficult for them. Brad just casually tossing a Elvish, whatever the fuck what's that bitch's name? Elvish something. Spirit Guide. She's a Spirit Guide, yeah. Elvish Spirit Guide. And plays Pithing Needle. I'm sure that he's going to wish that he named the Miracle of Triumph St. Catherine with that Pithing Needle. I don't think that actually works, though. I'll need to double check that. No, I don't think it actually does work that way. I think you can stifle that, but you can't actually Pithing Needle Miracle because it's a trigger. Yeah, you can't Pithing Needle it. You have to stifle it or Nimble Obstruction it or something along those lines. So yeah, I imagine he names Wasteland not knowing that he is going up against the Beans deck up front, and he uses his Cloud Post and goes and gets a Maze of Ith to stop this Triumph of St. Catherine from just beating him to death. Now we will see a Brainstorm from Matthew Story here at end step, and unfortunately he does have another Triumph of St. Catherine in his hand, so it's fleeting for that one Maze of Ith, and that's just how these Beanstalk decks roll. Feels like it's just as fast as Initiative when it comes to these big-ass monsters coming into play, along with all the permission and control aspects of a normal like 4-color control deck, just with big fucking beaters that also happens just to draw a bunch of cards when it casts them off the Beanstalks. So yeah, them beans, yo. It makes it very difficult, but there's the namesake of the deck, and it just gets out of hand very quickly for any player who is trying to beat up on this deck. So it does have an Eye of Ugin. If he would have, even then, like, he only had 4 mana there. He needs some more mana, which is unfortunate. And it's just, yeah, it's kind of tough. So another bean. So we'll see this get even more out of hand here with drawing another card. It looks like he has a Murktide in his hand now too. So, and he has a Force of Will for anything that Brad wants to cast. So he's going to draw 2 cards off of Force of Will if he, pitches one. So he's not even 2 for 1ing himself. He's just card parity the whole time. All right, nothing great for Brad here. He drew an Emrakul, but no mana to use it at the moment. And he's got two St. Catherines to pull it down. Force of Will in Matt's hand, as well as it looks like a Swords to Plowshare. Well in control of this. We can talk about the Beans deck for a minute. We all know what the Beans deck does, and it's not really that great. If I can learn how to click. So, Matthew's Beans deck is pretty standard from the Players Tournament still. 4 Bowmasters, 3 St. Catherines, 3 Murktides, 4 Plows, 4 Forces, 2 Force Negations, 4 Brainstorms, 4 Ponders, Witherbloom, 2 Luring Revealeds, and a Terminus. His enchantment suite are, of course, 4 Beans, 4 Ley Lines, and 1 Dress Down, just to hit you in the nuts if you're playing something else. So there's a Titan, and we'll see a Hardcast Force of Will, and Brad's going to pack it up. If you've been enjoying our content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Welcome back to game number 2. Matthew's actually down to 4 cards, and Brad has kept 7. So we'll see him lead off with a Once Upon a Time and see what he wants to grab here. Is Elvish Spirit Guide, a Reclaimer, and a Green Sun Zenith, or a Glacial Chasm. If it were me, I'd probably take that Elvish Reclaimer just so I had some early pressure on the board. But we'll see what Brad decides to take here, and it looks like it's going to be the Elvish Spirit Guide. Alright, we'll see how that plays out for him. And we've got a Elvish Spirit Guide into... Alright, so we've got a Beseiju into a Carpet of Flowers, and an Elvish Spirit Guide into another Carpet of Flowers. So mana ramp is on Brad's mind here, trying to get out some big creatures and see what he can do with that. Matthew playing his Triumph, passing the turn. Brad has access to 3 mana right now during his main phase, and if he plays another land, he'll have 4. We'll see if he has anything to cast with that. That does not, just a Cloud Post. So if he would have taken the Reclaimer, he could have, and we're playing a bunch of could-haves here, he could have played the first Carpet and then gone to main phase 2 and played the second Carpet, or played the Elvish Reclaimer. And then on his next turn, he could have played... Well, he couldn't have done it on the first turn because Matthew didn't have any lands out. But in turn 2, he could have had... he still could have played his Carpet and picked up some mana that way as well. As well as having a Reclaimer in play. That wouldn't actually die to that Bowmaster because it's a 2-1 at the moment. But I digress. We'll play with what we have on the board here and see what we can make of this. So, looking at the sideboards after game 1, it looks like you've got 3 Endurances and some Dismembers. Force of Vigors are probably really big here for Brad to blow up all these enchantments that Matthew's Story Control plays. Looking at Matthew's sideboard, he's got some Surgicals and some Deeds, which actually aren't too bad. Oppo Agent's pretty good against the 12-post deck as it searches. So... especially with like Eye of Ugin or something along those lines. And we've got some decent mana in play here. And we'll see a pass back over to Matthew from Brad. Swords of Plowshare, Force of Will in hand. Looks like no additional blue card. Swing for 2. Down to 17. And let's see. He's got a Crop Rotation in hand. If he crop rots for an Eye of Ugin, he'd be in really, really good shape here because he could crop rot Eye of Ugin, copy the Cloud Post at end step, and have 7 mana on his turn, plus 4 additional mana. So he could almost activate at the same time. And then, I mean, he could activate at Matthew's end step and just go get an Ulamog or an Emrakul and really just lock this game up. Alright, he does not do that. He goes and gets a Dark Depths, and he goes for the 2020. He says he wants to end this game now. And with that Swords of Plowshare in Matthew Story's hand, this is not going to be a great story for Brad. No pun intended. Or pun intended. So, in Matthew's excitement, he almost throws the Swords of Plowshare across the room to get that 2020 off the board. And now we start the rebuilding phase. We have the technology. That is not it with a Spirit Guide. He could hardcast that bad boy or bad girl and go from there. Draw back over. We've got a Force Negation in hand, and we're just going to see some orcs put in some work here. So I hope you, ladies and gentlemen, or however you describe yourself, are in and buckled up. We've got a long game ahead of us here of some draw goes and some beats on with some Bowmasters and Orc Army. And a draw. Oof. I kind of wanted to speed this up. Getting kind of sleepy here. And no beans cast this turn because there's no green mana in play. Brad has all the green mana in the world with those 2 Carpet of Flowers. No mana to spend it though. Or nothing to spend that mana on, I should say. Alright, we see a Lorn revealed. Probably go get a tropical island here. And we're going to see some beans come into play. And there's the bean. So bean is on the table. Looks like he drew another bean as well. Fuck that card. I can't stress that enough. There's 2 sides to it, I guess. If you watch the game that came out yesterday, or if you're watching this in the far, far future, it would be round 4 of the Players Tournament. It's a bean deck versus a Death and Taxes deck. And while the bean deck does give the Death and Taxes deck a very difficult time, if they don't draw a bunch of beans, Jesus Christ, I fucking tried the St. Catherine too. Fuck me. Like, what is this? Like, just get shit on. Like, here's another bean. Oh, no, not a bean. Alright, so it's a Witherbloom command, hitting that old Carpet of Flowers, and a mill for 3, and he's able to pick up that land, and I believe he can play it. Yes, he can. So, him being patient with that other bean that's in his hand, he's just trying to get some work done here, and he'll pass that back over to Brad. Brad is just a top deck away of really any creature at this point to kind of move this game back in his favor. That is not the top deck that I was talking about, but we've got an Endurance here, and he's going to choose to Endurance himself. That one Spirit Guide is in the exile zone. Put those cards on the bottom of the library, and I guess we'll pass that back on over to Matthew here. Another draw. Thank God it wasn't another miracle card. But we got another bean coming out more than likely, and that's just going to make us sad too. 2 mana. And there's another bean. We're going to draw a card. It's a ponder. I wonder if we're going to ponder. I wonder what we're going to ponder about. We're just going to attack for 5 here. No blocks from the Endurance. Is there going to be a ponder? There is going to be a ponder. So let's look at those top 3 cards, see if something he likes. Bowmaster, Swords... Nope, not a Bowmaster. Swords of Plowshare, Force of Will, and another land. That Swords of Plowshare will handle that Endurance nicely. And we'll see a pass back over to Brad. Something off the top? Nothing off the top. We're going to see a swing over for 3. And... drum roll, please. I don't have drums. I wonder if there's drums in here. I guess I could do like... Ah, there it is. Bowmaster. So we can ping that Endurance, putting it down to 3 health, and then we'll roll up on our Orc army, and then we can double block, and that Endurance is off the battlefield while still holding up our Swords of Plowshare. We'll see what else we can do. Brad, again, Brad just one good top deck away from maybe getting back in this game. But as the turns go by, Matthew just keeps drawing more and more cards. He has 2 Force Wills in his hand now and a Force of Negation. It's going to be very hard for Brad to actually cast anything at this point that isn't uncounterable. So he could put an Ulamog into play. It's not really going to do anything at this point because it will get counterspells. He'll get the trigger from the cast, but unfortunately he won't be able to really make a big dent in this game. So, another Brainstorm. I believe we have 3 Force Wills in hand now. Untap draw. And a land. And another attack for 6. So, that big life total buffer that he had earlier this game is no more. He is back down to below starting life total. Counting up his mana to see how much he has. Looks like we did draw a... Glacial Chasm. So what are we going to let go here? It's going to be a Glimmer Post. Yeah, Glimmer Post is gone. And Glacial Chasm is in play. So creatures deal no... Actually, Brad can't take any damage. He can still take loss of life. That is important because Glacial Chasm is a loss of life, and that would be really broken if it was just like meh, whatever. But also important if you're playing against a storm deck that casts Tendrils of Agony, doesn't stop Tendrils of Agony, so that's a tough beat too. All right, so it looks like we fetched for a Mystic Sanctuary and got back the Witherbloom command. Looks like he's going to destroy the other Carpet of Flowers and cause a loss of life to Brad for 2, noting that the Glacial Chasm does not stop that. I don't really know what Brad can do at this point to win here, to claw himself back into this this match, aside from drawing a Titan, like a Primeval Titan, and casting it. But he doesn't. He only has 1 mana that produces green at this point, so that doesn't really work out well. We do have a Lost Cavern coming into play, copying that Glimmer Post, so it looks like he can gain 1, 2, 3, 4 life, putting him back up to 19. So it's like that first Glacial Chasm never happened, but he still is short on green mana. Pondering off the top here, finding a Leyline Binding, just so many cards in Matthew Story's hand with so much selection available to him. Not really a concern here. So Alluring Reveal is going to draw 2, and then you're going to draw 3 more. Ancestral Recall, eat your heart out, even though that costs 5 mana. But so much mana, so many cards in hand, so much mana available, so many counter spells available. Matthew just chucking stuff away at this point because it doesn't even really matter. Just throwing a Triumphant St. Catherine in the graveyard because this game is basically locked up. If you're still with us, I appreciate it. Brad's just counting his mana, gives him something to do while he's just sitting there waiting for Matthew's Story to pummel him. So we'll see an untap step here and another 4 life loss off of that Glacial Chasm. All right, we've got some action going here. Not sure what the action is. We copied something with the Thespian Stage, but I'm not entirely sure. That crop rotation is about an hour and a half too late. Oh, he does have a Spirit Guide in hand, so he does have an additional green mana if he ever finds a Titan. That Titan would be uncounterable. Of course, it's not Unsourced of Plowshareable. And there's another forest for him as well, so he does have some mana to play around with here. Eye of Ugin, I think, would have been the game decider in this particular match, especially in this game number 2. Leyline Binding, Triumph of St. Catherine, another Beanstalk. What do you want? Here it comes. It's however you want it. Matthew Story is completely in control of this match. Leyline Binding just for shits and giggles. Got a Savannah out of hand and then a pass. Sitting on 7 cards. About to take 6 damage, or 6 loss of life, going down to 9. What do we have now? There's an Elvish Acclaimer and a crop rotation for triple Force of Will. That's not great. We might as well crop rotate first and see how that goes. I imagine it's going to be just a hard cast Force of Will at this point. Got the Leyline Binding in case he does draw the Emrakul. Got the Source of Plowshare for the small elf. It's just tough here. You want the man to win, but Matthew doesn't care that this man has a family and is just here to draw cards and shit on dreams. And that's all there is to it. Just, he's a dream shitting man. Dream crushing. Not the ideal way we wanted to send Brad off in his new adventures in upstate PA. This is his last match on camera with us until he comes to graces with his presence again in North Carolina. But he did put up a fight. And here is his last ditch effort with a crop rotation, sacrificing the forest. And we'll see a hardcast force negation because, again, Dream Crusher Matthew just at it again. He's just beating up on people last night. I believe he went 3-0 last night. He did. So he just beat up on everybody, man. Just unfair. I think he beat up on Death and Taxes. I think he beat up on 12 Post, and I'm not even sure who his other victim was, but oh man, he found another crop rotation. He could have gotten that Force of Will just the same as the other one if he wouldn't have sacrificed his forest. And Matthew Story says, if I could have crop rotated, Brad says, and then Matthew's like, look at this grip of shit I got. And Brad's like, yeah, you're right. I really fucked up. I should have got Eye of Ugin at the end or at the beginning of the game. That shit ain't gonna help. I am completely fucked. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. If you've been enjoying our content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Welcome back to another short Legacy League where we have Red Green Initiative versus Naya Depths. A huge thank you to the Patreon supporters who are helping the league and YouTube channel. If you would like to become a supporter, please click on the link in the show notes. Game number 1, both players have kept 7. Zach is on the play. Let's see if he's going to do some of that initiative bullshit that we know about and absolutely just dream crush everybody. So we know these lists already. For the most part, Naya Depths is a pretty stock and standard list at this point, and Red Green Initiative is the spiciness of the day or week. We'll take a peek at that deck list in just a second once we get to, once I fucking find it. Oh, here it is. Alright, so it looks like he's got some, I can't fucking read that. What else we got? Alright, there we go. We can do it that way. Alright, so for the Red Green Initiative deck, for those uninitiated, he is playing some Broadside Bombardiers, 4 Elvish Spirit Guides, 3 Magus of the Moons, 4 Simian Spirit Guides, Caves Chaos Adventure times 4, Under Mountain Adventure times 4, 4 Fierce. Dude, this deck is fucking disgusting. 3 Minskaboos, 4 Chalices, 4 Mox Diamonds, 3 Trinispheres. Who the fuck does this guy think he is? And 3 Fable of the Mirror Breakers? God damn. This is if this were a deck that was at the Player Haters Ball, this would be Silky Johnson. So if you don't know who that is, I highly recommend looking it up. But that is going to be a very tough matchup for John on his Naya Depths list. His creatures don't quite stack up the same as Zach's do. Granted, Zach doesn't run Swords of Plowshare, so a fast 2020 can get the job done. But John only running 4 Elvish Reclaimers, 3 Reliquaries, 2 Minskaboos, 4 Swords of Plowshares, 1 Prismatic Ending, and 4 Green Suns. He's going to be in for a pretty tough matchup here, unless he can get something moving rather quickly. It looks like Zach's already started that bullshit that we were talking about with the Under Mountain Adventure, and he's tapping 3 more mana to do something else. And it is a Fable of the Mirror Breaker. That's a really great card as well that we were just talking about. You get that little 2/2 squirt that when he attacks, you get a treasure token. And then when it goes to 2, you get to discard. You can choose to discard up to 2 cards and then draw 2 fresh cards. It's kind of fallen out of favor since Bowmasters came around, but it is still a really powerful card. And then the backside of that thing, after it goes to 3, comes into play with Summoning Sickness, but you can basically copy an initiative creature and then just fuck some people a little bit harder and a little bit more if you haven't already won by the time it gets to the third part of the saga, and you get to untap again with it, so it doesn't have Summoning Sickness. But yeah, got some grade A bullshit going on here with an initiative creature. And we're going to pass it back over to John. Hopefully he can find a Swords of Plowshare or somehow make a fast 2020. He's well on his way. We're going to have a Sylvan Library, a beautiful Legend Sylvan Library, I should add. And we're going to put it back over to Zach. We're going to come down, and it looks like he's going to make a treasure token off of that. So he's got mana galore, especially after that goblin attacks as well. And then that dumb fucking initiative creature also taps for mana. So it's like even worse. This deck, fuck this deck. And I say that from the bottom of my heart because right after this match, he completely dumpstered me. And it wasn't even fucking close. So, good on Zach for kicking the shit out of everybody and having a good time while he's doing it and making everyone miserable. All right, so here's what we're talking about. We're going up to 2 on that, and he can choose 2 cards to discard. So 2 worthless cards in his hand. It looks like it's going to be 2 lands coming out of there, and we'll see how he's going to, or what he's going to draw next. So yeah, it's a Cavern of Souls and a Beta Mountain, good looking Beta Mountain, and we're gonna do some mana tapping and untapping. I don't think it taps for extra there, but we're gonna attack. He's gonna get another treasure token. So technically, Zach does at the moment have 6, 7 mana available to him. Plus, if he has another land in his hand, which it looks like he might, he's going to play Chalice of the Void on 1. That'll stop Swords of Plowshares from John as well as crop rotation. So that fast 2020 that we were hoping for is no longer available to him. And what do we got happening next? And a basic forest, still have a zillion mana on the board. And it's going to pass back over with the City of Traders in his hand. We're going to have a trigger off of that Sylvan Library. Look at that top card. Oh, wait. Did we miss the trigger? Oh, okay. So he's saying, shit, I missed the trigger. This is the one I had in my hand. We can see on the camera it is what he had in his hand. Wasteland. 3 lands. Not really going to do it there, unfortunately. Swords of Plowshare doesn't work. Crop Rotation doesn't work. Eldritch Reclaimer can't come into play. Prismatic Ending could kill the Chalice, and then he could Swords of Plowshare or something if he has that in his hand. But that's really about it. It's not looking good for the Depths player here. And we're going back over to Zach's turn. He's going to find a Spooky Boy with a 4/1 Menace off of that initiative trigger again, just walking through that dungeon. And we'll see what comes along after the draw step. We know he has a City of Traders in hand, and it is, I don't know what that is, but we're going to see a flippy on this Fable. As you can see, that's Kiki-Jiki, a reflection of Kiki-Jiki coming into play. And I want to know what he drew. What do we draw? Looks like a green card. Maybe. These guys are not being very helpful with these cards in hand. But we're going to attack over for 5. And we're going to go down to 7. I don't know what John can do here. There's a Mountainy Boy. Pass back over to John. He's going to take a peek at those top 3 cards. And it looks like it's 3 more lands. He's going to call it a day, and we'll see you in game number 2. If you've been enjoying our content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Game number 2, John has kept 6, but he is on the play. He is actually not at 7 life. I also want to say sorry about misspelling your name on the keyboard. That B is right next to an N, and I put you Mabsini. So thank you, John Mabsini, for being on camera with us tonight. Or the night that you did it, I should say. All right, got a plateau and a basic force. Off to a zooming start for both sides here. John looks like he has a... Oh, well, all right, we're just going to adjust that life total right up. Go ahead and get you up to 20 there. All right, and then we're going to fetch and go down to 19. And it looks like we're going to Green Sun Zenith as well. Go get ourselves a Dryad Arbor and pass it back over. So we've got 3 mana in play now. We can actually do something. I wonder what we're going to do next. So we have 3 green mana. Or three mana, I should say. And a Spirit Guide. and an Undermountain Adventure come into play. So we're going to start that initiative bullshit all over again like we did last game. Zach goes and gets a basic mountain, and we're going to invoke a Fury and go ahead and take care of that Dryad Arbor as to not let John swing over and take the initiative. We'll see an untap here. Not quite sure what's in John's hand there. It looks like it may be an Urza Saga. I can't quite make out the rest. And Urza Saga coming into play. Pass back over to Zach here, and we've got the initiative rolling again. He's going to miss that trigger, but then he's going to remember it right after he drew. He's going to play his land, missing the trigger even longer, and then he's going to go, oh shit, initiative trigger. And then he's going to put 2 counters on there. So, nothing, board state hasn't really changed. Judge would probably rule that as a miss trigger, I'd hope. If there's any L1 judges that actually watch this channel, you guys could let me know in the bottom if that would be considered a miss trigger, since nothing's really happened to the board state other than a land coming into play, or a judge would roll that back and allow that trigger to happen. So we got another 2 damage coming over to Zach's side, red mana. It's probably going to be this Magus of the Moon here. We got a Magus of the Moon hitting the battlefield. That's all non-basic lands become mountains, which will immediately kill the Urza Saga. And John is not happy about that. So, yep, just pointing out that the Urza Saga does die with Magus of the Moon in play. And this might be a wrap for John here, unless he can find a Mox Diamond and a Swords of Plowshare. We'll see. I found Yavimaya that also taps for red mana. We got some untappies here, and looks like we've got 5 damage coming across on the trap, puts John down to 9, and then we got 5, 6, 7 damage coming across, that'll put him down to 2. And it looks like there's a Caves of Chaos Adventure as well in Zach's hand, so we'll probably see that come into play, just scooting that Undercity right on down into him drawing an extra card. So, yep, there's a Caves of Chaos Adventure. It'll trigger that initiative again, and he'll get to draw a card off of that. That means we're going to go into the Undercity completely, or whatever the fuck it's called, at the bottom of the Undercity. So, alright, we're down to 2 life, and John needs to find a miracle off the top here. Mox Diamond, that is not it. That is a Windswept Heath. John plays it, and it looks like that might be it. And that is, oh, John does have the swords. Oh no. Thanks for watching. If you've been enjoying our content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Welcome back to another Chart Legacy League where we have Sultai Lands versus Beanstalk Control. If you've been enjoying our content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. It's like Lincoln's keeping 6 and Ryan's keeping 7 in this game number 1, and Ryan's going to be on the play, as you can see. This is going to be an interesting matchup because the Beans deck is meant to go long and high, where Lincoln's deck is designed to go even longer and even higher, I suppose. The matchup, as you saw in the deck list earlier, Lincoln is on 4 Bowmasters, 3 Basin Borrowers, 1 Leovold, 3 Uro's Mane, 4 Brainstorms, 2 Crop Rots, 4 Swords, 3 Trophies, 3 Negations, 4 Force of Wills, and an Intuition, as well as a Life from the Loam to get back those cards he loves, those lands, 3 Luring Reveals, and a Pernicious Deed in the main. He is running Wastelands and the Dark Depths combo, as well as a 1 of Cephalid Coliseum. So that's going to be very interesting. On the other side, which is the Beanstalk Control, we've seen this list multiple times from Ryan and other people in the league, as well as everyone around the internet, including Bosch and Roll, the gentleman who won the Eternal Weekend. So 4 Bowmasters, 3 Triumph St. Catharines, 3 Murktides, 4 Brainstorms, 4 Plows, 4 Forces, 2 Negations, 4 Ponders, 2 Lorians, Witherbloom Command, Terminus, 4 Beanstalks, 4 Ley Lines, and 1 Dress Down for those sneaky Thassa's Oracle players and those Urza Saga players with the constructs. So, again, we're in for an interesting match here. Ryan's already got a Beans down, and Lincoln is just building up his mana base at the moment. So, hope you're in for the long haul here. So, here we go, following with an Uro. And he's got 2 Plowshares in his hand here. It looks like he's going to use a Bowmaster to at least get an extra trigger off of it to cause the damage and pick up 2 counters on that Orc army. That's a shiny Orc army. I would like to say that Lincoln does have a beautiful deck here, sans the 1 proxy Lauren revealed that we saw at the beginning here, only because he couldn't find one to take its place. So he did have to play with 1 playtest card and was sure to make sure he drew it his opening hand and then use it right away, which is kind of fun. Brainstorm coming out of Ryan, and to see if he likes what he... Well, I mean, he's going to have to like what he sees because it's a Brainstorm. But there is a Triumphant Catherine on top, so that is ideal for the Beanstalk player because he'll get to Triumph, and then it'll trigger, and he'll get to draw that other card that is on top as well. So he'll get to basically just draw 2 cards here off of the beginning of his next turn. So let's see, a missed trigger, maybe? I think we missed our bean trigger there. All right, well, there's a bean trigger missed. Surely it won't be the last, but we've got a swing over for 3 on Lincoln and pass back over to him. See what he's got for us here. Picks up an Underground Sea. Looks like he has a Wasteland in his hand, a Force of Will, a Brazen Borrower, and potentially something else. Maybe it looks like a Bowmaster as well. I mean, a Bowmaster here wouldn't be bad, especially in the face of a... I think we're about to see something pretty sweet here. All right. We're setting our mana up. 3 to cast. Oh, Leovold. Okay. That will force a Brainstorm out of Ryan's hand, which there's the Brainstorm. And then Lincoln sets it up beautifully with a Bowmaster. That is... that's just some good, honest magic right there. All right, so he's taking out the Bowmaster with his ETB trigger. Ryan will get to draw 3 cards here because Leovold is still on the stack. And then we'll see 2 damage hit the Orc army and then 1 damage hit Ryan in the face. That'll bring that Orc army up to a 4/4. And Ryan does have some plows in his hand to really deal with what's happening on this board state. So he's going to put 2 lands back on top, a Flooded Strand and an island. And Leovold looks like it might resolve. There is a Force of Will and looks like a Murktide in Ryan's hand. So see if he wants to burn that or if he just wants to use those plows to get that Leovold off the board. There's that Flooded Strand we knew we put back on top, and we'll see if he's going to not fetch away the other land that's on top of his library as well. So he must want to just build his mana base up here. And we've got a Swords targeting the Leovold. The Leovold's going to trigger, allow him to draw a card, and then 3 life back to Lincoln. And we're probably going to see that Murktide come out of Ryan's hand here. It looks like exactly what we're going to see. And that looks like it's probably going to be an 8/8. So that's a pretty big Murktide. It'll trigger the beans. See if he catches it. Alright, does catch it. Beans draws, and then the Orcish Bowmaster will probably put 1 to Ryan's face, and now we've got a 5/5 in play. So they end up being a 7/7 Murktide instead of an 8/8. So I guess we only had 4 instants or sorceries in the graveyard. If he would have used that other swords in his hand to hit that Bowmaster first, it would have been an 8/8. Looks like we're going to see a trade here more than likely with that Triumph St. Catherine. Yes, we are. So Triumph is going to exile the top 6 cards of our library, then we're going to shuffle her in. And then it'll go in there. So looks like that'll probably wrap it up for Ryan's turn unless he decides he wants to use that plow now or later. Precisely cut. And back over to Lincoln here. Force negation. Not a bad one to have, especially with your Bowmaster out. If you wanted to take out that... all right, he's got a bounce. All right, here's the Brazen Borrower bounce. And back to Ryan's hand it goes. And we're on an adventure with our Brazen Borrower. So, and we still have a Force Negation in our hand with mana available to use it. Blast Zone. Whew, Blast Zone is good. Takes out some pesky beans, as well as can be rolled up to take out larger creatures as well, or permanents on the battlefield. Not quite as good as Pernicious Deed, where Pernicious Deed hits everything at and below the CMC that it allows, or that you put into it, but it is still a really good card. And we're going to roll that up to 2, just in case we need to take some beans off the board. And an Intuition. Man, just all kinds of fun stuff in Lincoln's deck. We've got and a Field of the Dead. So now we got Zomboys coming out one at a time. And we still have an Uro in the graveyard as well, so we can't quite bring it back yet. It does take 5 to exile. All right, we got a Plow on the Bowmaster. See if we've got a Hardcast Force Negation here. We do have a Hardcast Force Negation. Is Ryan willing to... All right, we got a Hardcast Force of Will with a trigger on the bean. That will still make another Orc army for Lincoln. So it's not going out without a fight. And Ryan goes down to 19. Orc army in play. We got a zombie in play and a Hardcast Force Negation with a Hardcast Force of Will. Just trying to catch up here. And all right, Force Negation is countered. That does clear the way for Lincoln on an Intuition, though, on the following turn. Especially if Ryan doesn't pick up another Force of Will or something along those lines. I think Lincoln's just going to go for it here. All right, so we got an Intuition, which is a reader. So you get to search your library for any 3 cards you want, reveal them to the target opponent, and that opponent picks which cards you keep. So we'll see what Lincoln decides to pick here. And it is a Beseiju, a Life from the Loam, and a Caracas. Those are all great because he gets them all. So let's see which one he decides to give him as opposed to not. So he's going to make him put the Beseiju and the Loam in the graveyard. And Lincoln still has his Caracas as well. Good order setting there for Lincoln. And it looks like we'll probably play one more land this turn. Nope, we've already played the land for the turn. We got the zombie. All right. Miracle the Triumph of St. Catherine somehow. Jesus. All right, well, there that is. And no Bean Trigger. Okay. Bean Trigger 3 gone. And are we going to cast a Murktide? That's the next question. Got a fetch. And looks like we're casting a Murktide here. And I got a Bean Trigger. And Murktide is a 5/5. All right, nope. Missed the Bean Trigger on that one too. 2 missed Bean Triggers in a row. That's not great. I mean, he'd be up to 4 cards in his hand at this point. Got a loan from Lincoln. And picking up the Dark Depths, but missing on the other 2, putting a Force Will and another Bowmaster in the graveyard. But we're going to cast that Loam, I imagine, and get some Beseiju going. We got a Caracas. Oh, now we can protect our Uro if we ever bring it back as well. And we have a way to fuel up the graveyard. So yeah, that's what we're doing here. We're going to play the Uro. We do have the Caracas to protect it. And we also can still Loam as well. Unfortunately, Uro doesn't get the same triggers or +1/+1 counters that Murktide does. Man, that would be a beast if it did. And he does get to put another land into play for turn. He's got the Wasteland, a drop. Oh, Lincoln decided to give him his bean triggers. What a gentleman and a scholar. All right. Another land in play. Make another zombie. Up to 3 zombies. Arrows in play can be protected. And then we can cast our Loam. We've already played our 2 lands return, but we get to Beseiju and the Dark Depths, which is nice. So we can take that bean off the battlefield if he wants. He also can save it for this Leyline Binding, perhaps. Swords Plowshare onto the Uro. Uro is protected by Caracas. See if he wants to use that Leyline Binding. He does not. All right. And Uro is in the safe house for now. Potentially see another Murktide come, which will allow a bean trigger as well. What are we going to do? That Triumph is pretty much stuffed on the ground right now with those zombies out and the one Orc army that's a 2/2. It's just a swing over 5 and an untap from Lincoln. See if we're going to dredge again. Yes, looks like we are. Another Bowmaster, a Petty, Brazen Borrow, and just a fetch land. Fetch lands are not bad, though, as they make more and more zombies. So, gonna hit the Beseiju. See if we're gonna see a Leyline Binding come out of Ryan's hand to pick up another card. So Beseiju on beans. Does fill the graveyard up for the Murktide a little bit more. Gets him a Trio. Got another zombie coming out here. Doesn't make sense to attack through anything, as he'll just pick up 5 life and only be able to do 4 damage. So it nets Ryan 1 life, and he goes down a zombie. So another fetch, and we'll probably pick up it's like a Bayou there. All these FBBs, just absolutely gorgeous. We got our Uro again. We can use Uro and the Caracas just to basically Growth Spiral and Healing Solve ourselves if we wanted. And also whatever draws you a card, and that's all it does. But I mean, it's a busted ass card, so I guess Growth Spiral does draw you a card too. So yeah, it's a Growth Spiral and a Healing Solve on one. So yeah, cool. And to pass back over, we do have that Wasteland as well. Ryan's a bit heavy on mana at the moment. I don't think only thing you'd really do is take him off white, but he does still have a basic white. So, doesn't make much difference. Another beans. They always fucking got them. Goddamn beans are everywhere. Land, thank God he doesn't play. Oh, man. Could you imagine if Beans started playing one Field of the Dead? Jesus, that'd be fucking awful. Don't give Ben any ideas, because he'll do that shit, and then we're all going to suffer. Same for Andres. Andres will fucking do it with his Wastelands and a Life from the Loam, so we'll never get that motherfucker off the board. Alright, are we fetching and maybe using it, going to get on the Murktide? Alright, we got a fetch. What are we doing, Lincoln? Oh, we got another Beseiju on the beans. See if Ryan's going to take advantage this time and actually use that Leyline Binding. He is. He'll get a trigger off that bean, and he's going to take out a zombie. Trigger off the bean, and then he'll be able to go get 2 lands, one off the fetch, and then one off of the... And then he's got a... Alright, so he does the old Mystic Sanctuary. Swords of Plowshare back on top. It's going to make the Murktide a little bit bigger. It's pretty heads-up play from Ryan there. Still in his turn. I was going to say, he can make this next Murktide a little bit bigger. So yeah, pass a Ponder. Then he can use the swords as well. He takes that swords off the top. So triple swords to plowshare. I don't even know what that. Wow, that's a pretty low mathematical probability, I think, for triple plowshare off of a ponder. Especially since he put one plowshare back on top too. So that's interesting. But he can definitely burn a plowshare here as well, killing another zombie or the orc army. And now he can play his Murktide, and it's even fucking bigger, and it makes the other Murktide even bigger as well. So, some thick boys. How big is this bitch going to be? Looks like 3? Or 2? 2. Alright, so now he's got an 8-8 Murktide, a 5-5 Murktide, and a 5-5 Triumph of St. Catherine. That's quite a bit to work through with only zombies on the ground. We'll see if... now, Lincoln does still have the Brazen Borrower in just out on an adventure, so he does have a blocker there. Gonna dredge the loam again. Crop rotation would have been nice. And a Pernicious Deed. That also would have been really nice to have. He could have blown up this fucking board, this guy high. That Pernicious Deed. We do still have the Blast Zone, though. So the Blast Zone can just put in work. Alright, so we're going to Wasteland. We're going to go for a loam here, or are we just going to... Got 2, 1, 2, 4, 6, 8 mana. That's on. 8 mana gives us 4 counters. There's a land with a zombie. 4 counters puts us up to only 6. Another land, I think. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, he has 10 mana available now. Alright, so 10 mana available. He can roll up that Blast Zone to 7. And take out those 2 Murktides. A miracle, Jesus. A miracle Triumph of St. Catherine. So now there's 2 St. Catherines on the board. We've got 8, 5, what is that? 13 damage coming across at Lincoln, puts him down to 5. Alright, 5, and then we're going to fetch going down to 4, and we're going to roll up that Blast Zone to 7, which will kill both of those Murktides. And then now we've got the zombies on the ground that can fight off the Triumphs. So 3 mana will pop that. He still has Loam in his hand as well, so he can get the Blast Zone back and start working it back up for the Triumph of St. Catharines as well. So that'll kill the Murktides. And then we've got the Loam, which will bring back... all right, well, Ryan's all done. We'll see you in game number 2.
A huge thank you to the Patreon supporters who are helping the league and YouTube channel. If you would like to become a supporter, please click on the link in the show notes.
Welcome back to game number 2. If you're still with me from that long game 1, welcome back. And we've just sideboarded some in this match, so let's take a peek and see. I know we saw the deck list at the beginning of the game. Sideboard wise, from Lincoln's side and Sultai lands, I imagine he probably brings in Oppo Agent, some Surgicals, another Trophy, Relic, and probably another Pernicious Deed. Those would probably be my guesses here. And then from the Ryan side, probably the Leovold, the Oppo Agent. These are pretty close in terms of sideboard. Probably his Veil of not his Veil of Summers. Well, I guess I could see him bringing Veil of Summers as well, because Lincoln does play Bowmasters. And then Carpet of Flowers and potentially his Pernicious Deeds. I don't really think he brings those in unless he's worried about the zombies attack that just happened. I don't think Flusterstorm's really that great. Maybe some Surgicals to get the Loam, but Lincoln is only playing 1, so I'm not quite sure. But definitely the Leovold, Oppo, Veils, and Carpets make the most sense. Maybe Surgical Extractions, maybe not. But looks like we've already got a riveting game here with Relic of Progenitus out to keep Ryan's Graveyard in check and keep those Murktides off the board. Even though he has a bazillion mana by the end of the game, but they would only be 3/3s. We've got a Leovold in play, and we'll see what happens here. Looks like he does have Bowmaster in his hand, which is a pretty neat wombo with Leovold, because you can bring it in and target a Bowmaster. Ooh, Pernicious Deed. That is a really good grab, or a really good card to have right this second. So we got a Lure Revealed. Looks like it's going to be cycled. And Ryan's going to pick up a Tundra, draw for turn, and finds a... Geez, wow, okay. He finds the Leyline Binding for the Pernicious Deed. That's a fucking top deck. So anyway, what I was saying about Leovold and Bowmasters is you can cast the Bowmaster and target the Leovold, which will then trigger the Leovold for you to draw a card, which then you can target the Leovold again, which will trigger the Leovold. And you can see where this is going. And then you can target, the Bowmaster, that'll trigger the Leovold again. You can, and so on and so forth. Now, granted, you are letting your opponent draw a bunch of cards, but at the same time, you're clearing the board. So it looks like we've got a Bowmaster trigger targeting the Bowmaster. Leovold is a May ability, so Ryan looks like he's choosing not to draw off of that Leovold. So the Bowmaster is out of here. And we'll see a Bog coming from Lincoln. So he is maintaining that graveyard that Ryan has, and keeping him off of any shenanigans with a Murktide or Delve spell in that particular regard. Swords of Plowshare, man, just drawing bangers after bangers here. Swords of Plowshare off the top right after the... just right after that Leyline Binding. That's pretty good top decking, if I could say so myself. So he could Swords if he wanted. He's just going to... I think I probably would have held that Mystic Sanctuary back for later in the game. But it's Ryan's world, and he's playing in it. So got an untap here, draw from Lincoln. Got a Swords of his own. We'll see a Lorne Revealed. And so we're going to plow the Leovold in response. See if he's going to draw a card. He draws a card, Bowmaster trigger. And he can hit that army. Alright. I think I just explained to him how this works, what we were just talking about. So now he gets another trigger off the draw. Is that correct? Swords, draw, trigger. 3. Okay, so we're just... I'm not quite sure what happened there. He may have just picked up an extra trigger off of targeting the Leovold, which it did fill up Ryan's hand pretty well. It's kind of tough. And then we'll see his Swords for that Bowmaster. Makes sense. And then a Ponder. Okay, here we go. There's a Surgical. Oof. All right, Surgical, Triome, land. Surgical, Triome, and fetch land. Okay. So I want to shuffle this away. As you want to keep it? All right, he's going to keep the Surgical off the top. Might see another Ponder here. If he plays a Ponder, he still doesn't have enough mana to play the Murktide as well. All right, so he's going to eat something out of the graveyard. And then we got another Ponder. Doesn't like what he sees. He's going to shuffle that away. And top card looks like maybe a Bowmaster. Man, these Bowmasters are out of control. So Got a Murktide, a Bowmaster. Alright, Lincoln picks up a Force of Will. Swing for 3. And a pass back over to Ryan. We got a Bean. Potentially a hard cast Force of Will on that Bean. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Oh, that's an Oppo agent. All right, so we got a Murktide and an Oppo agent in, and a Surgical. Pass back over. Attack step, and then looks like we're going to activate that relic as well, keeping that graveyard nice and safe. Got some little hands over here on Ryan. That's his daughter just coming over to say hello. It was a long night. This is round number 3, so it's getting towards her bedtime. Now we've got a Force of Will, an Oppo, and a Murktide. We get to see a Surgical here. Swords is the army. And then, oh no. Lincoln could have used that relic to blow up both graveyards and... Oh man, that's tough. And to stop that Murktide from coming out as well. If he would have done that in response, and he still would have had 2 Swords Plowshares in hand. I think he realizes that now, pops it, and draws a card. That's kind of tough. Finds a Lorn Revealed, so he's still in this. He can refill that hand pretty easily with the Lorn Revealed. It looks like he picked up another Bowmaster as well. See what he wants to use first. Oh, no, it's Assassin's Trophy. Okay, so he finds Assassin's Trophy off the top, swings for 3. Ryan down to 8. And a Miracle's Triumph of St. Catherine. It is a fucking miracle that he found it. Jesus Christ. Alright, cool. So here we go. We're definitely going to need to use that Lorn Revealed now. Refill this hand and try and get something going. So that's Lorn Revealed. That's the beautiful proxy that he made for tonight. So we picked up Force, a Cephalid Colosseum, and one other I couldn't quite make out. There's the Colosseum. And a pass back over. Alright, so Triumph can put in some work here. Lincoln is at 10. See if Lincoln wants to do anything. Alright, so he's going to block, try and keep his life total up to 10. Ryan goes up to 12. Source Plowshare in Ryan's hand, as well as the Oppo agent. So, let's see a draw. We got a Bowmaster in hand, which is nice. Just going to try and hold that back, I think, as long as possible. Ryan almost cast a Terminus off the Miracle. See a 5 come over. Lincoln down to 5. Ryan back up to 18. Find a way out of this. Alright, we got an Oppo agent. Alright, see if there's going to be a hard cast Force of Will here or not. Or just a straight up Swords of Plowshare. Alright, Ryan says it resolves. We got Oppo on the board now. Looks like we got an Uro as well, maybe? Oh, Brainstorm. 2 cards in hand. Alright, here it looks like we're going to see a Force of Will. Alright, trying to keep him off of these. Is Lincoln going to force back? He is. He says, no, sir. Alright, land, Brainstorm, double lands and a Brainstorm. Yikes. Alright, I think you just probably put those 2 lands back on top. Still got an unknown in hand, so. Oppo will block. We got an Uro. That's promising. And Lincoln grabs 3 life here off the Uro. Picks up another. So 9 life. Lincoln up to... Alright, so we got 3 life gain from Uro at the moment. That'll put him up to 8. And then Source Posture is on the stack. Looks like you found another Uro, a Bowmaster, and a Dress Down. Okay. Alright, so Lincoln goes up another 6, up to 14. Still in this game now, even with that the Triumph out. There is a Beans. Goddamn Beans. Fucking everywhere. See, oh, alright, Bowmaster. So we'll get to pick up 1 damage to Ryan plus an additional 1 off the Bean trigger. Alright, okay, he's putting on the Triumph. Fetch. Wait. Alright, we got a... looks like we got the Oppo agent coming. Fetch in response. Ooh, we might get to see some Cephalid Coliseum shenanigans here. Yes, yes we are. He's going to use Cephalid Coliseum, target Ryan. Ryan's going to have to draw 3 cards, then discard 3 cards. So it draws 3. There's another Surgical. Alright, so 2 damage to the Oppo, and then 1 more to probably the Triumph here, I'd imagine at this point. Yeah, he has to discard 3 cards still. And then Lincoln's other piece will resolve. But Ryan does need to discard 3. What an interesting play. You don't get to see that every day. Though today I was playing Vintage and I got Ancestral Recalled with the Bowmaster out, and then he attacked me for 10. That was rough. I lost that game. Hardest 3 cards to discard in the world, I guess. Alright. So he pitched the Veil, the Lord Revealed, and 1 and a land, it looks like. Wait, what the fuck are we doing? Okay. Maybe we didn't pitch all those. I don't understand what's happening here. Okay. Veil, Surgical Land. Captalorian, Brainstorm, and the Terminus. Also held back that Triumph of St. Catherine for another turn. So we don't have an Uro, but we do have a Life from the... Oh my god. Alright, we got another Life from the Loam here. Which means that Cephalid Coliseum is back in play again, which now will make the Bowmaster larger than right, so another draw 3, discard 3. They pick up a swords, that's kind of tough. And a bowmaster. Alright, so we got a bowmaster, a swords, and a brainstorm. Alright, bowmaster's away. So we're keeping the swords, the terminus, and the brainstorm now. We are in turn number 1. And we'll see an attack for 8 from that big, thick boy. Alright, that's good stuff, good stuff. Alright, got a land, a brainstorm, and a swords. And turn number 2, attack for 5. Chose not to dredge. I wonder if that was intended or not. I feel like that Cephalid Coliseum is just begging to blow them up kind of thing. Alright, we got a fetch here. Picking up a tropical island. Alright, what can Ryan do here? There's a Murktide. That's a big fucking beater as well. We're in turn 3 though. Turn 3 Murktide with Bean. So that'll trigger draw a card. Making the Bowmaster the Orc Army. 1 larger. Picks up a Veil of Summer, it looks like. Alright. Cast a swords on that, giving Lincoln 9 life, putting him up to 18. Alright, that doesn't really make too much sense. Swing for 5, and we'll see another Bowmaster come into play. A Veil of Summer with that on the stack. So he may have cast that a little too soon, I think. Lincoln's going to choose to ping himself. We've got a brainstorm. So I'm going to go ahead and apologize. I've watched this like 1,000 fucking times, and this is not easy to follow. So the Veil resolves, and so Bowmaster does damage to Lincoln. He should have an Orc Army out. Then the Brainstorm will eventually resolve, and then it's a fucking disaster. If someone wants to go back and rewatch this and see exactly what is going on or how it happened with no audio coming from the players, it's hard to understand like where they're going and what they're trying to do. But to my understanding, like no priority was held or anything like that. The Brainstorm was cast. You've got a bunch of shit happening where he looked at the top 3 cards of his library, the fucking Veil of Summer, then he casts a fucking Bowmaster in a second. It's a whole fucking thing. So, yeah. Not quite sure what is really happening here, but it's turn number 4 or turn number 3. It doesn't really fucking matter. So, like, I don't think he can do enough damage with Lincoln being at 15, him already attacking this turn. If he wouldn't have swords the big dude, I think Lincoln would just die on the crackback with that huge-ass Murktide that's in play. But it's not quite what happened, so yeah. Anyway. some shenanigans have happened. Yeah, like, no idea what the fuck's actually going on here. But, yeah, anyway. Sequencing was all wrong, and I don't really fucking know. Anyway, that shit happened. See a Dredge for Loam. Caracas. Beseju's nice, because he can Beseju the Leyline Binding. This is turn number 4. And then use the Pernicious Deed to blow up everything except for the Murktide, and be able to kind of walk away from this game with his head held high, and he wins the match just based on the fact that it's turn 4. It goes to turn 5 for Ryan. Ryan can't kill him, so he picks it up on a 1-0 win. So either way, it's been a very interesting matchup for sure, especially watching that Cephalid Coliseum put in a lot of work. See if he's going to target Ryan with it again. The Bowmaster triggers. So Ryan's going to pick up 3 and have to pitch 3. And it looks like he's going to just go ahead and wipe out Ryan's board with those Bowmasters. And pass back over. Let's see if Ryan can make the impossible. It's turn number 5. Draws a land. Has a Leyline Binding. Can at least take care of one of the creatures. But he can't attack through everything. And we got a trigger on the Beanstalk as well. And then he's going to take out the Orc Army. Swing. He just blocks, and that is the ball game, I believe. Unless Lincoln has something else up his sleeve, he just wants to fuck with him on. That's that. And after this combat step, I believe that is the match. That is it. Thanks so much for watching and sticking it out with me. See you next time.
If you've been enjoying our content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below.